It's really critical that you want to have a full schedule, but you don't just want to have a full schedule. You want to have a full schedule with the patients that need the most dental work done, because you need those revenues coming in immediately. If you know that now and you're educated about that now, you can set up the very best production week for that very first week that you come back.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Go Live. I'm your host, Joshua Scott. Guys, I've got the crew from Local Med with me today. I've got Tom and Vanessa here. Guys, say what's up to the Facebook audience.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening? How are you guys doing?
Man, I am good. How are things going for you? Now, you guys are in the Chicago area. How are things going for you guys?
Actually going pretty nicely. We're in Chicago. Of course, 2 days ago it was 80 degrees and this morning it was 26. So the walk at 6 in the morning is a little different. You know, you walk in the morning, you're putting on your winter coat, hat, and then in the afternoon you're out in shorts and a t-shirt. So that's what it's like to be in Chicago. But you know, imagine that being in Ohio.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're a little similar. Vanessa and I were just talking before you jumped on. It was like, we get these like 65 and sunny days and they're beautiful, and then the next day it's stormy and rainy and a little snow flurry and all that kind of stuff. So
and hail.
Yeah.
It's a typical Midwest spring is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, guys, we were just together. I mean, I keep saying a couple weeks ago, but now it's probably been a month, right?
Which is insane to think it's been that long already.
Yeah,
I know. But that we were together for kind of the last hurrah in the dental industry anyway, before everything shut down. It's crazy. I don't know. For me, looking back, it's crazy to think that we were on Bourbon Street Saturday night before this whole thing just locked down. Does that tweak you out like at all?
Yeah, without a doubt. I come home. I actually quarantined myself into the guest bedroom for the first 2 weeks when I got home, because my wife, 2 kids, they had been at home. Actually, my wife had gotten back from Detroit the same day we got back from New Orleans. But it was kind of crazy to be there in New Orleans for the last 2-3 nights. And I think everybody knew what was going on because we were all kind of treating it like the last hurrah for a while.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of shut down, and now that's been a hot spot. So I've just been happy that everybody we were with has been healthy. I haven't heard of anybody getting sick. So that was good news. But looking forward to things normalizing again and being able to get back to everybody to get back together just to have some fun.
Yeah, it was interesting because I felt like we were almost in our own little like dental bubble at Delivering Wow, because we'd be getting all these updates from back home and all these other things going on, but everything in a weird sense seemed normal where we were at. And so it was very interesting, but it was great to at least be able to see everyone one last time. But I think now we're all kind of bummed out because normally with all the conferences that come up in the spring, you used to see everyone every couple of weeks. And now you went from essentially seeing these people you don't ever really get to see every couple of weeks. So now you don't see anyone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you don't even see your neighbors really. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic of how quickly things changed. Yeah,
no, for sure. Because my last memory of Tom was being on the Frenchman, and that guy comes up and puts that steel plate on you.
Yes.
And you're playing the drums on your chest at like 1 a.m, in New Orleans.
John Stamper, and you guys are drumming away.
I remember being shown up Major League by John Stamper because he's got musical skills. It was pretty good.
He's got skills.
Yeah, that's fun. Oh man, well, so I mean, how's that been personally for you guys? Because you're used to, especially this time of year, being on the road, and so much just got canceled, like just hard stop. Has that been weird? Has that been an adjustment, or has it been nice?
It's been kind of a combination of both for me. We just moved into a new house, so we had just gotten everything up and running. So it's actually kind of nice. We've got a little bit more space, but it is weird because I have 10 brothers and sisters, and we usually get together once a month to celebrate birthdays and whatnot.
Okay.
And so now just doing that we've never had a video conference in my family's history, and now that's what we're doing each week to get together, just kind of like what we're doing here today.
Yeah.
So definitely an adjustment, but it's also been really kind of nice too. I got to share with you something we're doing, or a couple of things. One, my wife and I are now walking around this lake that has a walking path at like 6 a.m. We'll do it again at the end of the day. So that's nice. But one of the crazier things we're doing is, like a lot of families, when your kids are young, you have a lot of board games that you have, and they've been in a closet forever.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we put all the names of them in a bowl, and we'll pick one out every night and play that game regardless of what it is. So whether it's Monopoly or Risk, or there's a game called Life that some people might remember we played.
Yeah.
And actually we played the SpongeBob SquarePants version of Life.
What?
And my kids are
By
in
the
their
way,
20s
that
now,
sounds like a lot of fun because I love SpongeBob and he's so quirky that I can only imagine the life scenarios they make up for SpongeBob.
It was a lot of fun. Haven't done that for probably 20 years, so it's fun.
Oh, that's
Gotta
awesome.
make the most out of it.
Yeah. Vanessa, what about you? How have you been coping through this time?
Yeah, I mean, normally, and I know Josh, that I love traveling, whether it's personally or professionally. And these next couple of months was going to be like, I think I only had one weekend off every single month for the next 3 months. So anticipating that nothing was going to get done in my life, basically. So now having the opposite, and weirdly, I'm actually enjoying it because from just being so busy and involved with everything that we do, a lot of projects going to get pushed off to the side and you just never have enough time to accomplish it. And so it's actually been really nice. Like I actually painted this room. This used to be like a ugly green color. So it's got like fresh paint, just like little stuff around the house that end up being big things around the house. But just catching up on that, it sounds like hashtag adulting, but it has been actually really nice. They just have not had time for that in such a long time. But we'll ask me again in about a month because then I might be like, all right, like I need to start going somewhere now.
Yeah. No, that's great. The room looks awesome as well. And a bunch of people have jumped on. Joanna, my wife, says, hi guys. Joe Homan says, yay. Hi, Tom and Vanessa. Josie is on and says she loves these faces.
Hi, Josie.
Meenal Patel is watching. Josie says it was, meaning New Orleans, it was the happy bubble that we were all in.
It was. We were like in a little bubble.
Yeah. Sophia D is on. Oh, and then Josie says John Stamper was the man. He outdanced all of us. Yeah. Who knew? Yeah.
What have you and Joanna been up to, Josh?
Say it again.
What have you and Joanna been up to in the last 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, a lot of working, honestly. I mean, it's just been so busy. I think just scrambling, at first to whether it was with clients or just even overall with the industry, just trying to, like step up, provide some leadership, provide some like language into like, here's how we get through this. Here's what we should be saying and all that. So I think the first couple of weeks I was kind of disappointed in myself. Like I didn't get to, I was like, oh, I can have all these extra projects I can get to. And I really wasn't. And I think some of it was just even the emotional, mental, like maybe there was some free time, but just emotionally, mentally, I was just by 4 o'clock every day, I was kind of just drained, just dealing with it all. But this weekend we've got, we told the kids, it's mulch day tomorrow. So the mulch company.
Trying to make it sound exciting.
I know. Yay, mulch day. They're not buying it at all. But the company dropped a big truckload in the driveway, and the kids were like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "That's called mulch, and that's happening tomorrow." So,
it's National Mulch Today.
Yeah. So that's like, we are getting to some stuff, and it's fun. We as a family we started the Marvel movie challenge. So we're up to Iron Man 2 right now. So maybe like 5 movies into it, but just watching all the Marvel movies in chronological order as like when they happen actually in time. So,
well, and you also had to celebrate your daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
In quarantine, right? How is that? Because that's just got to be surreal. You know what I mean? Like she'll probably never forget that birthday.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were, thankfully Joanna found most of the things on Amazon. I mean, between gifts, we were kind of scrambling and going, okay, like what can we find? We were supposed to be in Sedona then for spring break, Arizona. And for a while I kept I was like, I think we can still do this. I think we can still go. And then at some point, because I was so resistant, I was like, no, this is our spring break. And then at some point, I think it was maybe like 5 days before, I was like, fine, we won't go.
By the way, I love that your reaction is more of what like you would think the kid would be thinking for spring break. Like, no, not my spring break. And instead it's like, not my spring break, because I've been looking forward to.
I know. So, but yeah, it was, it's fun. We did the family Zoom call, which she loved. We made the most of it. Joanna, we planned some games, had a good time, baked a cake. So, yeah,
The cake.
yeah, baked the cake. So, but yeah, but gosh, guys, interesting times for sure. And I want to get to that and a little bit of your guys' response to it. And because I know you've been providing so much value over the past couple of weeks. For anybody, why don't we back up just a little bit? Because for anybody out there that doesn't know Local Med and what you guys do, let's start from there, which I know is a small percentage at this point. I feel like the whole world knows who Local Med is. But give us the kind of like what you do and your value in the marketplace.
So it was actually kind of interesting because I started with Local Med about 4.5 years ago, and they had already been around for 5 years, but they hadn't specifically marketed Local Med yet. And so when I was with the original founder and he was telling me about what Local Med was, I was kind of surprised that it didn't already exist in the dental marketplace. And what that was is it's real-time online scheduling. And what that means is somebody can go online and book a dental appointment and have it be written into the practice management system, just like you'd book a flight or use OpenTable. And it was surprising to me that didn't exist at the time. And so over the last 3 to 4 years, getting the word out, like you said, I'd like it if all the people in the dental community knew about Local Med. And we've made a few jumps in the last few years. We've gone from like 300 to over 12,000 providers on the platform. But it's really jumping up like that because we are still the only ones that are integrated with multiple practice management systems. We cover about 85% of the market, and the patient can go online, click a button, whether it's on the website, Facebook page, Instagram, really anywhere that they're looking for you, and they can get right in and book an appointment, and it's fully booked, and it's booked exactly like the practice's front desk would book it, and it's just automating that process. And I think just in a general sense, my surprise 4 years ago was because that's what we're doing in every other aspect of our society. Whether it is booking a flight or using Uber, it's all about convenience right now. And just being able to book that, making healthcare a little bit more accessible is what we've been excited about doing and what's really taken off in the dental community in the last 3 years or so. And thanks to people like you and others that are putting this message out there to make it easier.
Yeah. So talk me through the patient psychology, because there's definitely a group out there that is like, we don't know that patients want to book online. Like they're not convinced of that. But yet what you said is like every other industry, this is what we do. So from a psychology standpoint, why is that important?
So I love talking with analogies, right? So think of the last time you purchased something online, and probably Amazon, and you take for granted that shopping cart. But would you have made that last purchase you made if that shopping cart didn't exist? And you have to send an email, and then you have to wait for somebody to get back to you. Might be a day or two, maybe longer. Yeah. Oh, by the way, they're not going to email you. They're going to try to call you and talk to you about that purchase, and they're going to do it while you were at work. So would you have made that last purchase you did, Josh? Or is it going to become, you know what, I'll have to get to that at some other time. It's not in the moment. It's not happening quickly. And from a patient's perspective, they just want to go on and book it right now and be treated like a VIP when they get into the office. Yeah. They really just want to get the appointment set up as quickly as possible. And Local Med allows that. We're the shopping cart for the dental industry.
I love that. If I had to call Amazon every time I wanted to make an order, like that whole thing just breaks. Like it's broken. But it's so funny when you say that, because we know that that's where the world is at. When we say like that's such common sense, and yet I'm like, but that's what we make people do, you know? So like Vanessa, tell me, because you weren't the first. I mean, I saw some other products that took an attempt at doing this. Probably where it flipped for me was I always, probably for a year or two, I heard the frustration with it. Like, we're trying this, but it would never really work, and clients would quit it, and they'd have all this like frustration with it. And then you guys came along, and I remember the first time this tip for me, a client goes, I booked four patients, new patients over the weekend, and I didn't do anything. And I was like, wait, hold on for a second. Booked them, no issues, like no problems. Like, they were solid, clean appointments. Like, you felt good about it. And it was like, oh my gosh, yes. So that's where it tipped for me. So tell me why you guys became like, you finally figured out how to work it and make it work in a seamless way.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that about over the weekend and those appointments being booked, or even like holidays, for example. Like even Dr. Paul Goodman, he jokes about it, that Local Med's his best and cheapest employee at his office. Yeah. Like, they never take a day off. They work 24/7, and I pay them way cheaper than I do my employees. So this isn't meant to replace any employees in the office. Let me make that very clear. It's not for that, but it is able to make it easy. And so then your employees are able to enjoy these weekends off, or these holidays. I mean, there's so many different offices that I speak with that when they aren't using Local Med, I ask them, what are they doing right now for after-hour appointments? And like, oh, well, I just haven't forwarded my cell phone, or I switch off on the weekends and give a cell phone to my employees, and then they're in charge of answering it, which does not seem like an ideal situation for anyone involved, really, because even if you have that cell phone with you, you might be at a family party, and now in the middle of that family party, do you really want to be taking these phone calls when a lot of the times it's just appointments that are being booked? So you're able to alleviate and free up the phones that way, but even free up the phones during the day in normal hours, so if a patient's able to book online, that's freeing up some of the phones. So when patients do actually have questions and maybe need that extra care on the phone, patients are still going to call in no matter what. But now you're able to spend that extra time catering to those patients on the phone versus, oh, can you hold on 1 second? And they're having to manage all these different phone calls coming in when they're just appointments that could be handled in a different way. Also, when patients are coming into the office, kind of like what Tom was saying before about treating them like a VIP when they come in, it can be sometimes a turnoff to some patients when they walk in the office and someone's on the phone and they're doing the little finger, like, hold on, because they're on the phone. That's not really how a patient wants to feel welcome to an office. So there's all these little things that can really help free up some of the time with the front desk that a lot of people don't think necessarily realize by offering online scheduling can help them. But it does go a long way. We've had a lot of clients have actually said their patients greatly appreciate it because they're able to have the convenience of booking, but then they were able to have the attention from the staff when they were interacting with them. Yeah.
How much of this do you think, just even that transition into this, has been a control kind of issue? Because here's kind of how I actually remember the transition from like the appointment book, like the lady at the front desk, like the big appointment book, and like writing them in the schedule, over to digital, like through the practice management software, and how that was such a big deal. It was just like, we can't replace the book, but but it was like, okay, but everything's going digital. But even like a doctor going, okay, we can't give a patient control. It's like, this is our schedule. Like, but yet at the same time, consumers are probably requiring, they're like, well, it's my time and I want control. How much of that do you guys see in this? Like, is that a struggle for people to let go of that? Has that been kind of one of the chief complaints?
Yeah, it's usually the number one objection. I mean, because it is your schedule. The doctor may have specifics like, hey, he does something different on Thursday afternoon, or doesn't want to see this type of patient. And usually the people at the front desk know what those specific anomalies will be. But those can be built right into Local Med. And I think once they see that, then they're excited about it, because again, we're not asking them to change what they're doing. We're just going to automate what's already in place. So whatever rules they have right now that the front desk is following, we'll end up building those right into the customized solution for them. As a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, because it's no longer tribal knowledge, if you end up losing an employee, or they're just sick for a day, Local Med still remembers what it is because it's been programmed in, which is kind of nice. So one of the analogies, again, another analogy, is from booking a flight. the last time you flew, Josh, you booked a flight and you probably felt very much in control of that process, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Except you were just looking at the inventory that the airlines had put out online. So when you chose the 2:30 flight and seat 12A, that's because they made it available. In the same way, the practice is in control of what's online. They get to put their inventory out, what types of appointments they want to be able to be booked online, what times those can be booked. And it's all pretty simple on the patient end and the practice end. Where the complexity is all come in is all on the development and everything on the back end that nobody really sees. But it's really simple and straightforward. And once they see they're not actually giving up that control, people are really excited about it because they're like, wow, this is just like booking a flight. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, as I was saying, because I initially, if I get pushback on it, it's all these things like, well, how do we know? What if they're an existing patient? How do we know what hygienists they usually see? Sometimes if it's a patient that's got that we know comes in that needs a little bit more time, they need an extra 10 minutes. What if it's an emergency? What if it's a new patient that has an emergency? That like they kind of start talking through all these variables, but you guys can help customize that along the way, right?
Yeah, it's really part of the setup. It's a 10 to 15 minute setup process where we learn the scheduling rules that you go by at your practice. And from there, we go back 24, 48 hours and customize our solution around those unique scheduling rules. And that includes being able to pick the hygienist. If the practice wants you to be able to pick the hygienist, then that's what we can provide. Some practices don't like to have any of the doctors or providers named, and so you're just setting up an appointment. So
Yeah.
it really comes down to just what do you want to do? Did I miss anything with that, Vanessa?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's pretty simple and straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the part I love it about it. There's an elegance to it. There's a customization to it. Gosh, you got a ton of people showing up online. John Gigante says, "Ha, I saw your mulch driving by your house yesterday." So there's that. Joe says same thing.
Neighbor now, Josh.
I know my community's on. Joe says same thing. We had 2 skids of mulch delivered today too. So I mean, the mulch is trending in the comments for sure. Oh man. Paul Hudanik is watching. Hey Paul. Scott Smith, Jason Smith. Hey Jason. Michael's on. A bunch of people. John Stampert's watching. John, you got a shout out earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about you and your dance moves earlier.
Yeah, John,
for your musical ability.
We were talking about your dance moves. just to make you wonder what was said. Whitney Baldwin is on. She says, "My Pete, what's up?"
Hey, Whitney.
Shauna Beresford, a bunch of people on. Hey guys, if you're out there watching, you've got questions for Tom and Vanessa. It can be about local med, but it doesn't have to. Throw them in the comments there. I've got them right in front of me, and we'll throw them up.
It'd be about SpongeBob SquarePants at this point. We played life, right?
Hey, little fun fact: I used to have a SpongeBob SquarePants bathroom. Just saying, like, no joke, like floor to ceiling SpongeBob bathroom as a kid.
Was this like recent?
Look at Josh's face. Josh is like.
She said she just painted her room.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh my gosh, what?"
What year was this, Vanessa? Oh man. No, one question, Tom, I had for you was how your ping pong game is holding up through this thing, man.
Well, I actually have a ping pong table in the basement, and my son is really good, so I'm keeping it going. When we get back to the office, I think I'm going to be kicking everybody's butt.
Oh, it's going to be rough.
Lefty.
Yeah. See, that doesn't surprise me because it's like this dude is playing in like tournaments like outside of here. Like he's got a table. He shows up for those of you guys who don't know, they've got a ping pong table at their offices there. And last year I went up and spent a day up there with them and hanging out. And yeah, and the big ping pong table right in the middle. And Tom's like, "You want to play?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And it ramps up in intensity pretty fast. Overall, I mean, you guys take that seriously. You use that for the interview process too, right?
Yes, it's actually a very good interview tool. I would have never thought about that before this because I've hired a lot of people. And since being at Local Med, part of the interview process, they don't know it, is we'll ask them to play doubles ping pong. And so that's really kind of interesting. So one of our one of our marketing directors was being interviewed. So she comes in, she's got a suit on, high heels, and we like to have people that are competitive, right? And they can pick things up quickly. Well, she had never played doubles ping pong before. And so when we got into it, there's a few points, you have to take turns. Well, it was only 5 points in. She was kicking off the shoes going, all right, this is on now, going into it. So we knew she was going to be a perfect fit for our group. So it's pretty helpful. You can learn a lot about somebody playing doubles ping pong in 5 minutes that you can't get in 3 hours of interviewing. So
yeah,
it's pretty effective.
Yeah, it definitely makes for good people watching in the office when people come in for interviews.
The whole team, it's like
literally we're all just like, okay, how are they doing? Like, get on the car. No, but it does it, and I think it shows a lot of just how quickly people can adapt to a situation. Because I mean, even before I started local med, I didn't play ping pong. Like that was not my forte by any stretch, and so. It just goes to show like how quickly can they adapt to a situation, especially if it's a situation that makes them feel uncomfortable. And then with it being doubles, you can easily run into each other. So how do you work well? Like, do you work well with others? Are you able to communicate that? So there's all these different layers that can really go into just a 10-minute ping pong game. It's insane, but you can really weed out some people that way.
Yeah.
So Josh, when you were in our office, that's what we were doing. We were interviewing you basically.
Yeah.
And would this guy fit in here or not?
Little did I know.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's why
take you anytime.
That's why there was no call back. Sorry.
That's why I've never been officially offered.
That's why you're still in Ohio. I love you, Josh.
You guys have this flow too, right? And I could tell, and all of a sudden we're about 3 points into it, and I'm like, I have this sense of I'm about to get hustled here right now. And because it starts off kind of slow, it's like doubles. Let's just play. You want to play a little ping pong? I'm like, sure, let's play a little ping pong. And everybody's just kind of like, going, and I'm hanging in there. I think maybe I even got a point or two, in the beginning. And then all of a sudden it starts speeding up, and then Tom's like, doom, 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 and we're spinning, and all of a sudden stuff starts happening, and you're like, whoa. And then Tom, next thing I know, like you're playing it off like the wall and back onto the table with this wicked spin, and I'm just like, guys, I'm done. Like I don't know. I don't know how to.
By the way, you were much more competitive in that response, Josh. Let's just admit that. You were like, oh no. You were like, I'm gonna get this. Like, so that's the type of mentality that we do like.
Yeah.
It took Josh about 5 minutes, and next thing you know, he was hitting them off the wall.
Yes.
So there was that ultra competitive but good spirited nature that was still there. So those are the types of people we love.
Yes.
No, I had as soon as as soon as I saw you, I was like, oh, I have to try that too. I don't think it didn't work when I did it, but it was all good. Okay, so obviously, we all kind of come back into this world that just gets, shut down. Number one, how did you guys, how did you respond to your team? Like, what did you communicate like that Monday? Because we were all in New Orleans. I think we all flew back Sunday, right? And then, so Monday, like, how are you communicating to just your team and handling that with them?
So that was really an interesting time because, and I had shared this story, and I'm sure Vanessa will remember, I said, during traumatic times, people, they hyper remember, and not just for a short period of time, but for years, 5, 10, 20 years later, everybody on this planet is going to know when you talk about the pandemic and what they were doing and what was happening and what happened during that time. And I said, more than ever, people will remember how you responded during this time, because everybody's in this high stress time. Everybody has different needs, and really, you can really create or ruin a great reputation during this time. And so be careful how you respond. Understand that everybody's under a lot of stress, but in just every case, think about where you can help and how you can help the person you're talking to, the community you're in, because that will be remembered for years and years to come. And honestly, that was how I opened up our meeting on that Monday morning. And I just had the meeting this morning, so I'm glad you asked that. And this wasn't even set up, but I had the meeting this morning. We've gone through this now for 3 weeks. And I had to tell my team just how absolutely proud of everybody on my team that I was, because everybody has stepped up in so many ways. Everybody in our department has been doing different jobs as we've gone through this. You mentioned earlier, Josh, that how busy you were And it's like, wow, so many things are shut down. How did we get busy? We have been unbelievably busy. I've been called a workaholic before, but I've never put in this many hours and have the whole team around me putting in this many hours. We've been doing demos at night, 7, 8 at night, working through documentation, making sure that what we're putting out in the community is actually working and we can get those set up. Kudos to our biz dev team, our marketing team, and our installation team, our customer service team, because we have been inundated with people excited about what we're offering, with the CE courses, the workshops we're doing, and we've actually had more people come on to Local Med in this 3-week period than we have in any other 3-month period in our history.
Wow.
So that's how busy we've been, and everybody on the team has really stepped up. And I told them this morning, I go, everybody here is going to remember what you guys did for this last 3 weeks. So very proud to be a part of that team. So
I love that because it's everybody thinks dentistry and the world just like shut down. I like that. It's really easy to fall into that and think the herd is like running that way. But the fact is, and I've heard this from other companies, I've seen it with ourselves, is the kind of new client or new customer growth in the past 3 or 4 weeks has still been there, if not even like higher. And what's interesting to me is, especially if you get into watching just even some of the news, you feel like the world has entirely shut down. But the fact is there are people that are still smart business owners, responsible business owners. They want to grow. Everybody's trying to figure out their way through it, figuring out how to stay open, how to keep growing, how to implement. Like they haven't had time. They're like, we want Local Med, just haven't taken the time to implement it. This is a great time, right? Like, is that kind of what you guys are seeing?
Yeah, we really are. And again, you hit it right on the head. The world hasn't stopped. Dentistry is not over. It's going to come back, and it's going to come back hopefully very soon. We know that we've got the shutdown through April 30th, but more and more you're hearing news about this plateau coming and then it coming back out. You're hearing even the major sports teams, how are they going to come back? And so the conversation nationally is starting to shift.
Yeah.
We're not out of the woods yet. Want to make sure everybody stays healthy, stay home, stay safe, but we are going to come out of this pretty soon. And the people that take advantage of this time, honestly, whether you're in dentistry or in any industry, take the time to do the things that you haven't had a chance to do. Educate yourself in some way, shape, or form, but really do something that when you come back, that you're better at something. You're better at what you were doing. Yeah. And I'm pretty proud, again, to be part of Dental Intel Local Med family, where we're offering a lot of those CE courses even for free.
Yeah.
We did that a couple of weeks ago. We have another one going on right now, yesterday. Some great speakers, Mark Costas, Paul Goodman, number of other ones on it. And we just continue to provide that. And I think that puts us at the center of things. And I'm excited about that because now we have how many people coming to talk to us saying, hey, I love what you're doing in the industry. Love how you're giving back to the community. How can we become a part of that? We've got programs where we've got other partners like the Jive coming to us saying, hey, how can we help? And now they're giving some of their services, and helping out during the pandemic, and a number of other ones as well. And I probably missed a bunch of those, Vanessa, but I'm sure you can jump in with that.
Well, and Vanessa, I was going to ask you, just give us a kind of how you guys have stepped up, because I know what I know about you from a value standpoint. You guys are always very generous, and anything you can do to help your clients and even beyond that, like the profession, I would totally be expecting you to step up and do that. How are some ways you guys have done that over the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been helping, because Local Med can still be utilized, we offer the online scheduling, and that can still be utilized during this time as offices are trying to bounce back, once those doors are open, or those offices that maybe are offering just emergency appointments now, or maybe they're just doing virtual consults now, they can still be utilizing Local Med all throughout that. Yeah. So what we've done is we've teamed up with Dental Intel with their product, and we're actually offering free training workshops 3 times a day that will actually show you how to utilize these different tools and services specific to COVID. and how to really make the most out of these services. So then that way, once their doors do open, or even if they are just offering the emergencies or the consults, the virtual consults right now, and how to really make the most out of that in this particular situation. So we're actually offering that totally free 3 times a day. So you can always check one of those out. I can even put a link in the comments too if anyone wants to sign up for that. It's free for anyone to check that out. And then we also have the Intelligent Dentistry event that's going on right now as we're on. It started yesterday. It's today as well. Today's the last day. We are going to be offering these again in the future. I think it's actually the end of April. As Tom was mentioning, it's free CE. You can actually get CE credits. We have over 24 speakers. I think it's about like 39 CE credits, which is huge. You know, we got big speakers like Paul Goodman, Mark Casas, Kira Den, Samantha Leonard. I mean, the list goes on. But that's also completely free. So kind of like what I'm doing myself right now at home, trying to do things I never had a chance to do, traveling all the time and being busy. I think that's what a lot of these offices are enjoying, that now they're actually able to take that time to get educated, get the CE credits that maybe they were supposed to get at Hinman and then they weren't able to go to the Hinman meeting. You know, allow their staff to attend the CE and really educate themselves. But it's great because there's been so many amazing speakers who have stepped up that are also providing advice in CE based on the situation that we're currently in.
Yeah.
You know, and so for those offices that are really looking for some guidance of how do I get past this? How can I be, you know, ready to just jump back in the office and really make it a great 2020, despite maybe the beginning part of the year wasn't so great. How can I end great? So between what we're offering at DI and LocalMed and then what these other CE speakers are doing through Intelligent Dentistry, I think it's really going to help people be able to bounce back. But also I think bring people together as a community too. You know, like we're all going through this together, and social media is huge. And I think it's great where a lot of people are now able to have conversations and understand each other's situations better because everyone's kind of going through a similar situation and be able to help out where they can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. I think you're totally right. Like I'm watching practices right now, the ones that are revamping their like infectious disease control protocol. They're, you know, being real clear about their sterilization processes and all that, and going, that's going to be a big deal. Practices that are implementing some type of virtual consultation, not just even for this time, but kind of long term. And I think so important is taking the friction out of scheduling when this starts to open back up. I think is going to be huge. And the practices that are going like, hey, dentistry it's probably going to look a little bit different. And here's how we think it's going to look different. And they're getting ready for that. I think are the ones that are going to come out of this and probably grow. I mean, I know I have clients right now that they haven't given up on the fact that 2020 they could have some growth as a practice. I still believe, I think you can end the year and be up through this year. It's just going to have to look different. You guys, your LocalMed can handle virtual consults as well, or can be adjusted even for emergencies, like different parameters for emergencies right now?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So whether it's new or returning emergencies, and as well as the virtual consults, you know, as long as they have a virtual consult system set in place, it's just an appointment type. So if you're listening to this and you are a LocalMed client, set those up. Make sure those are set up so that way you can take advantage of that. Just reach out to our support team and they can set you up with those parameters that you have for your scheduling rules. But I mean, it's little stuff like that we're trying to educate in these workshops. So in that way, they really are able to bounce back and really utilize the software. I mean, I think even more with everyone being virtual, I mean, case in point in this situation, we're doing everything online. We're doing everything where, you know, if you are ordering food and supporting the local businesses, a lot of times you're ordering your groceries and you're just picking it up and that's all done online. You're ordering your food, it's just all online. So I think even after this pandemic is over, I think over, you know, this time frame, people are going to get used to doing everything digitally. So even more, they're probably going to look for that quick response of like, I just want to book an appointment, get it done, and then I can move on to the next thing. So I think it's going to be great to have those systems in place for what you need now, but then obviously then make sure you have the appointment types that you want set up once your doors do open, and making sure that patients are able to find you there and book.
Yeah, I think so much of this is just, it's helped expose some weaknesses in practices that I think is good. I mean, for example, I don't how many practices have been struggling. We've seen struggling just to put together an email to their entire patient base because they just had never had that set up. And so we're seeing communication systems get revamped too. Tom, I know you kind of mentioned this, but the first couple weeks were definitely panic, kind of trying to control that, get, hey, we got this. We're in this together. Here's how we can overcome this. At some point, I think it's just starting, the conversation is going to start turning towards reopening and rebooting this whole thing. What's going to be your message? Like, how will you guys start to position yourself and help clients through that process of going like, okay, we're going to reopen. Here's how we can help.
So it's really critical that when the practices do come open, that they're fully booked, that you want to have a full schedule. But you don't just want to have a full schedule. You want to have a full schedule with the patients that need the most dental work done, because you need those revenues coming in immediately. But the average AR, I think, for a dental practice is about 43 days from time you do the work till the time you get paid. So in that time, most dental practices will have 2 or 3 payrolls come due during that time. If you're doing all the lower volume or lower revenue generating appointments or production, you're going to struggle to hit those. If you know that now and you're educated about that now, you can set up the very best production week for that very first week that you come back, and then follow that up with another week and another week. And what's really nice is, Vanessa mentioned this, as far as if you're a local med customer, hey, turn those appointments on. Well, if you're a local med customer and you're listening to this right now, call in and we will give you, for just this pandemic period, the patient finder and the follow-ups from the Dental Intel platform. It's a phenomenal tool. So think about all of the patients that are in your practice management system right now. There's no way between now and the end of the year you could actually take care of all the dental work that they needed between now and the end of the year. So it's up to you, the practice, to prioritize how you're putting those patients in and how you reach out to them. And so Patient Finder is a great tool from Dental Intel. And again, no financial obligation. We're just trying to get it out into the community, because if our practices are successful and they're growing quickly, then we're all getting better. And so we're giving that to them for this period of time so they can utilize it, so they can create that best schedule. And now, you mentioned the emails that go out. You're sending those emails out to those specific cohorts of patients that are going to drive your revenues up, and you're going to be able to send out that link from local med right into that email so they can schedule the appointment. The other thing that's nice with the combination of those two is, hey, right now it's April 30th across the country. Now in some states that might be a little different, but we're not 100% sure that it'll be May 1st we're back. They might push it out a week or 2 weeks, or it might happen a couple of times, right? Well, if the patient is booked through local med, they don't have to talk to somebody in order to reschedule that appointment online. Now, again, if it happens within 24 hours, we don't allow cancellations or rescheduling. They do have to call. But if we know a week out in advance, we can actually move all of those patients and nobody has to actually call into the practice. So think of all of those unnecessary conversations back and forth and the phone calls trying to get in touch with people. Those would pretty much be eliminated. And now you can kind of move that perfect week that you created to a week out. And that's really how I see that happening. And that's how the practices should be talking to the patients. Just a quick role play. If I was to call you up, Josh, and say, hey Josh, this is Dr. Tom. I know we were going to do that crown for you. Right now it says we're going to be open on May 1st. That first week, what's a good day for you and what's a good time? We schedule that appointment. And then I say, so Josh, obviously we're under this government, shutdown, and we're expecting to be open on May 1st. But if that got pushed a week to May 8th, could we just make that, the same time next week, Tuesday at 10? And you're probably going to say yes, because otherwise I don't know when we're going to be able to get to you, and we're prioritizing you. So can we just move that? And in that way, you're really educating your patient that, hey, this could be somewhat flexible. Are you? and now you can just move it right along. But this creates not a recovery, but really what we're calling a slingshot back into your growth mode, because you've got the revenue, you're making your payroll, and guess what? This trick you learned about prioritizing your patients, why would you stop that after the first month? Why wouldn't you just continue to do that and really be in control of your schedule? So,
yeah. I think when I look at this whole thing of reopening, I think it's going to be a little complex. It's going to be a little tricky, because what I see happening in theory right now, everybody's got a full June schedule, or July, like whichever month it is. That doesn't matter. Their June, July is packed with a full schedule right now of existing patients. Plus, we've got the last 6 to 8 weeks of existing patients that need to be rescheduled. Plus, we've got this in the community. We've got 2 or 3 months of new patients, that volume that we're trying to get into practices. And so even one of the things I've been trying to tell people is, hey, be careful. You don't just take up all the new patient blocks with existing patients. And I think we're even going to have a surplus there, like startups that are launching in July, August. I think there's going to be a lot of patients that can't get in a practice for 3 or 4 months because everybody's booked up, and so startups are a great opportunity. But I love your comment there about even a little almost like triage, like who needs to get in right away? From a production standpoint, from an urgency standpoint, so let's just deal with these bigger things right away, knowing that preventative or some of the recare could probably get pushed a little bit. I think that's smart too.
Yeah, and it really does set you up for success, because we live in the real world where bills are coming due, and so you'd hate to have all of the lowest revenue generating appointments be your first 2, 3, 4 weeks, and now you're struggling to make your payroll. So it's a business decision. Obviously, you're going to take care of any of your patients that have emergencies and are in pain. But when you're really deciding, hey, what type of an appointment do I want to put in these particular areas, that's really what you want to do. And I can tell you that you can customize that through LocalMed, so just those appointments are available. So again, it's automating what you're trying to accomplish. And in addition to that, you may actually want to set up and create some additional times. If you were a practice that was working 4.5 days a week, maybe you add that, that fifth afternoon, and maybe take up some Saturday times. Because I agree with you, Josh. I think that 2020 can still be a huge growth year for dental practices, because for the first time, you might have people clamoring to get in to see the dentist regularly, because the supply is actually, I'm going to say that backwards, the demand is greater than the supply. So now the dental practices are going to choose how they want to see these patients.
Yeah. All right. One last question here before we wrap it up. And Vanessa, I'll let you answer it. But future plans with LocalMed, what do you guys see? Like, what's on your radar for maybe integration or product development over the next year or so?
Yeah. Obviously, just getting more practice management systems. We cover probably more than 85%. Maybe is it almost 90 now, Tom? I mean.
Yeah,
we cover a lot of the practice management systems, but we are looking to work with more of them, including cloud-based ones. So we have a couple in the works that we're working on with that. And then just finding, more ways of integrating with Dental Intel and their product, because kind of like what Tom had mentioned, with able to pull specific lists and patients to really find patients within your office that are needing to come back for a visit, but obviously closing that loop by getting them to book an appointment and making that easy, as well as, just communication. How can we continue making communication easy between practices and their patients to get those appointments booked?
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Tom?
No, that really summed it up pretty well. It's really just about making healthcare, and in this case, the dentists, more accessible to the patients. And if you can think of every aspect of that, what we're going to try to do is create systems or solutions that will fill those gaps and make it easier, just like we've made online scheduling easier.
Yeah, I love it. Well, guys, look, I know, we'll see each other a few more times this year, I'm sure, once we get to the fall and things kind of get going again.
We'll celebrate big.
Yeah.
That everyone could be in a room together again.
Yeah.
We'll have our dental bubble again.
The dental bubble. I need to find a time to get back up there again, just because I want to go to that Italian place we had lunch. I mean,
yeah, DeMarco's.
is it Marco's or DeMarco's?
DeMarco's.
DeMarco's, yeah. Guys, Tom and Vanessa both. I mean, we went to this lunch place and we walk in and it was just like, I mean, everybody was like all these like big Italian guys, and Tom walks in and they're like, oh, Tom, like here's your table, and they just start bringing food. Tom's like, what do you want? And I'm like, whatever you get, and stuff just starts arriving. And I mean, I feel like we had like a 7-course meal that the entree was veal parmesan on a vodka pasta sauce. Is that right?
Yeah. So, well, actually, it was chicken parmesan.
Chicken parmesan. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I mean,
we had the tiramisu.
Oh man, the tiramisu.
Yeah, that's the food coma in the afternoon after you go there. Usually we go there for dinner because lunch is pretty rough in the afternoon.
Yeah, I got on a plane and I remember like sitting there thinking like, why am I so tired right now? And it was DeMarco's. Yeah.
Which, with the irony of all this, is that that's like Tom's favorite place, and his name is Tom Brown, and he was the one who brought us there. But my name is Vanessa Vitaliano. Yeah, he's the big man on campus. When he walks into the restaurant, is Tom Brown, the most like Irish human being.
Right.
100% accurate.
Oh man, yeah.
It's a great place. So wear your sweatpants next time, Josh. So then like little room.
little freedom to grow there, expands.
And it helps when you're playing ping pong.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna bring the short shorts next time with the headbands and the wristband, and we're gonna get it on.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Guys, thanks so much for being here and taking an hour out of your day. I know you've got a lot going on, so I really appreciate it. Everybody's time is a little crazy right now. If somebody wants to get some more information on Local Med or reach out to get the process started, what's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
It's localmed.com/dentists, or you can call 888-203-7531 and get in touch with us. But Josh, really, thank you for your time and thanks for your leadership throughout. I've listened to a lot of your Facebook Lives, and the information you're putting out there into the dental community is really helpful. And I also love your interview style. It just keeps it light and it's entertaining and interesting. Hopefully we didn't bore all your listeners today.
Oh, thanks guys. No, I don't, gosh, I mean, the engagement here has been awesome. There's so many people on it, which I think is because as soon as I set up, I have Local Med, everybody's like, oh yeah, let's jump on that.
No, it's really the mulch and the SpongeBob, I think, is what really mulch and SpongeBob are going to be like trending now.
I know. That's true. There was a wide range of topics on this one for sure. But Christy Carroll, Christy's on, and she says, so strange to see Tom and Vanessa at home. Which is so true.
Like, it is true.
Yeah, that's been some of it. It's almost like everybody's been like so casual and these like home, kind of sets, and but it's been fun. Like you get to see people in a different element for sure.
In their natural habitats.
That's right. Yep. So, well, guys, look, have a great weekend. If there's anything we can help you with, please don't hesitate. Let me know. But I'm sure we'll be in touch, and we'll see you soon at something.
Definitely.
Yes.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.